Welcome to the Communication Mastery Podcast with me, Mark Burlinson. We're tackling miscommunication with the power of understanding. We're growing our mastery of the foundation of teamwork and of all relationships. And so I want to ask you to help me spread the word about stronger, more effective communication by inviting some friends to listen along with you. Then discuss what you've learned and give me your feedback. What would you like to hear from us in future episodes so we can make this podcast even more effective? Thanks for joining me. Let's jump in. Welcome back. This week, I want to go back to basics. It's a topic we've talked about multiple times on the podcast, but I felt like it would be a really helpful summary to go back and revisit. When you start looking into communication, it can sometimes feel a little daunting. There's so much to think about, so many areas to consider. And that's why I love the communication IQ system, because it simplifies it down to topics and factors that you and I can easily grasp. And that's where I wanted to go. I wanted to take an episode or maybe even two of the podcast to remind you of some of the very basic things that we can focus on so that our communication will be more effective. And so this week I want to talk about the 4 communication keys that we teach in the workshops, that come through in all of the materials when you take your profile, because these 4 keys for each of the 7 communication styles, the communication languages, these 4 keys really are the heart of how we can be more adaptable as well as understand ourselves more fully. And the 4 keys are very simple to remember. The first one is the filter question for each of those languages, because that answers that fundamental question in any interaction of what do you need from me? What filter question do you need answered so that we can make a connection? Every one of the 7 communication styles has its own unique, specific filter question. And that's why it's important for us to recognize which language are we speaking as we're connecting with one another, as we're interacting with one another. It may not be your primary language that you're speaking in or communicating in. It may not be the primary language of the person you're communicating with, because it's context specific. But very often it's helpful to understand those 7 languages and answer the filter question of the person's primary language first. For example, many people in the population would have responder as their first language, and the responder's filter question is, do you care? Do you get me? Do you understand where I'm coming from? And so if I can express that I care for you, that's going to cause that language to be at peace or to be effective in our communication. Even if, having expressed my care, we then need to move on to maybe a question of strategy and step into the shaper language, or address a practical issue that needs to be completed and step into the doer language. I'm making the connection first, and that causes the communication to proceed without distress. So the filter question is very important for us to establish the connection. What do you need from me? And if you need that sense that I care, because responder is one of your primary languages, then answering that first is going to get us off on the right footing in order to move on to other languages. The second key to communication follows right on from that. Not only what do you need from me, but how do you need it? And this is the need from others that each language has. So every communication style has a specific need from others. And if I can meet that need, then the communication is going to go smoothly and it's going to be effective, going to be productive, whatever the setting. It may be at work, it may be in the community, it may be at the homeowners association meeting, it might be at home around the dining table. Wherever it is, if I can meet your need from others in this interaction, then we're going to be able to connect, we're going to be able to communicate effectively. So if I follow on from the example I started using, what the responder language often needs from others is to be heard and understood. And so it may be that I need to give you a little more time to express yourself rather than cutting in with what I want to get to. If I will invest another minute or two in hearing you and understanding what you're saying, then again, there's no distress in the communication. There's no hindrance to us communicating effectively, even if we then move on into a different language and meet a different need. Let me interrupt today's episode just for a moment to address small business owners, because the challenges of running a business are multiple, aren't they? There's all of the technology that you have to master. There's the staff turnover. There's hybrid and remote work. There's all kinds of different things that you have to consider every day. But sometimes that causes us to overlook the primary thing that really means that your business will succeed, and that is your people. Your most important asset is the people that are running your business alongside of you. And every one of them is different. And so that causes all kinds of potential for misunderstanding or miscommunication, tension in the team. And this is the core issue for small business owners today. It's to understand your people and then to maximize each one's impact and satisfaction in being part of your business. Communication IQ can really help with all of those issues and enable you as a business owner to be more relaxed about how fruitful and effective your team can be. So if it's been a year or more since your team thought about communication, reach out to me and let's see how I could help you put communication back at the center of your business goals so that you see the benefit right away. Now let's go back to the episode. The third key is the driving passion of each language. In other words, what are you bringing to our interaction? What are you bringing to the challenge that we're facing? What are you bringing to the goal we want to meet? What are you bringing to the purpose of our business or the project that we're working on? What do you bring that is of value? Because every language has something valuable to contribute to whatever task we're working on or whatever goal we want to achieve or whatever problem we want to solve. And so with the responder language, let's continue with the same language for clarity. The responder language passion that the responder brings to the table is compassion. They get how people are feeling. They understand, they empathize, they feel the feelings that have to be felt in order for there to be no barrier to us communicating effectively. And that's a great, valuable trait. It's not the only trait you need in any interaction, but if that's the one that's being brought first off by the person I'm talking with, I want to acknowledge that, I want to value that, I want to recognize that, so that we can bring that strength, we can bring that passion into the communication. Because when there's passion in communication, when there's energy in communication, then we can move forward to address challenges with much more momentum than if there's distress and everybody's feeling like they're out of sorts. And then the fourth key is a strength that each language has. And that strength they bring to the expression of their passion. The power of recognizing how you're bringing your passion is also vital in every interaction. Let me interrupt today's episode for just a moment to talk about how every relationship in our lives is built on a foundation of communication. So at home, so few families invest the time and the energy to understand themselves and each other so that they can bring out the best in one another. You'll find as you look at the profiles of your family members that each of you has something different to bring to the table. And if we can maximize the input from each of you, your family is going to prosper in all kinds of ways that you never thought possible. So I encourage you, let's look at your family's communication styles together and unpack your profiles to see how we can turn your differences into strengths and see your family flourish even more because you took a few days or a few moments to invest in communication. Now let's go back to the episode. When you get the 4 keys for each of those 7 languages, you can adapt to almost any situation. And that is the great beauty of this very simple but very powerful tool, because it enables you to utilize all 4 communication keys. And when I can use those 4 keys in each of those 7 languages, I can become up to 100% more effective in my communication. It's remarkable how quickly it works and how easily it can be grasped. What I like to say is that even a 10-year-old can get it, and begin to apply it. I was talking with a young man the other day who had started to understand the way the life languages work, and begin to use those 7 different communication styles. And it was remarkable how much more mature he appeared in our interaction, just because he was understanding how this works. And all of us can grasp it. It's simple enough that you and I can learn this. So I'd encourage you, if you haven't taken your profile recently, retake it so that you get a clearer idea of which languages you're leading with, because then you'll be able to understand what is the filter question I need answered in an interaction. What is the need I have from others as we interact, as we communicate? What strength am I bringing? What passion do I have? So that I can offer that into the settings I come to. And then remember that your first one is only the first one. You've got 6 more right behind it in varying degrees that you can bring to any challenge. I had a setting the other day where I needed to pull on a language that for me is, I think, 5th or 6th. But I was able to bring that up in the interaction as we faced a challenge together. And it was valuable to the team I was working with for me to be able to do that. Adaptability and learning to use all 7 styles is really the heart of what I do with my clients, and I'd love to do it with you. So if you're facing a challenge of communication, or if you want to grow your ability to reach your team's goals, reach out and let me know how I could help you. I'd be glad to do that. That's it for this week. We'll see you back here next. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It would mean a lot to me if you'd rate and review the podcast so it helps more listeners to find us. But also, would you give me your feedback on things you'd like to hear about in future episodes? And remember to share the episode with a friend if you see something that would benefit them as well. You can reach me with feedback through my website at markburlinson.com. Just click on the contact button and send me a message. I respond to everyone personally, and I really want to hear from you. So thank you again for listening, sharing, reviewing, and giving me your feedback.